Hey guys, what's up? Welcome back to this week's edition of Mental Mondays on Intuitive Angling, and thank you very much for spending some time with me today. Always appreciate that. And if it's your first time to the channel, Mental Mondays is something we do once a week, every Monday. Doesn't have anything to do with fishing usually. We just talk about some stuff that makes you think and sort of stimulates your mind a little bit. So welcome everybody, and welcome back to all the regulars. Also, guys, before we get started in the video today, I know a lot of you guys that watch Mental Mondays are really big supporters of the channel, and I just want you to know I really appreciate you guys supporting the channel by using all the links I put in my descriptions for the videos every day to help the channel and to subscribing to the channel. Definitely much appreciated for me and my family. Okay, guys, today we're going to be talking about probably what I consider the most important thing in life, and that is loving and being loved, or being loved and loving, sharing love, loving, all that type of stuff. I want to get into that in today's video and really dive into this a little bit deeper. We touch upon this quite a bit on Mental Mondays, because one of the things about Mental Mondays that, if you guys watch the channel very much, we talk a lot about mortality on the channel, because I think that's one of the things when you're talking about things that affect people mentally, the whole prospect of death, creates a lot of anxiety in people, which it shouldn't. I mean, it's a completely natural part of life. It's unavoidable. There's no fighting. It's going to happen to every single one of us. So a lot of what we talk about here on Mental Mondays is sort of centered around to that to some extent. Now, one of the things that you're going to find out, hopefully as you get older in life, one of the things that we learn as we get older in life is that after you move through life and after you've spent a lot of time on this planet, if you have any ability to do some type of introspection or self-reflection, you'll realize that all of the things that you think is important in this life, getting ahead, having more, making more money, gaining power, gaining influence, keeping up with your neighbors, whatever like that. As you get older, you realize that stuff doesn't mean anything. And you realize, hopefully, anyway, you realize a lot of people do when they get older, is the only thing that really matters in this life is the love that you share with other people or other creatures on this planet. That is power. That is the powerful thing. It's the most powerful thing that we have, in our human form here. And one of the things about this, I think that is, we as a society, we've gotten away from that, is we don't teach that at an early age to people about the importance of, sharing love and loving other people and, sharing that camaraderie with people. So it's sort of something we have to, learn as we get older. And one of the things I'll tell you guys right off the bat, as far as that you can look forward to, is that everybody or everything that you have ever loved or shared love with or have loved you, you're going to be around those people or those energy forms or the entities or whatever from now on. It's like that is the nature of reality out there. Everybody that has loved you, everybody that you have loved, you travel through this existence forever with them in some shape or form. And that should be a very comforting thought to everybody out there. One of the things that I think is important to remember as you move through your life and you think about this is when you're around somebody like that and you have that feeling of you love that person or that person loves you, you really need to cherish that. I mean, because that is something special that a lot of people don't have. I mean, I'll give you a prime example, guys. I had, when I was growing up, I hit the jackpot with parents. I had, very loving parents, especially my mom. My dad was a little bit on the gruff side. He loved, his family a lot, but he didn't outwardly show it a lot, but my mom did. My mom, ever since I was a little kid, I was just like, yeah, the intensity of her love, I could feel it. And it never went away. I mean, from the earliest memories that I had of my mom to the exact day that she passed away, and everything in between, every time I was around her, there was such a powerful, energetic force coming from her that I felt her love. And that was something that I'm so grateful to feel that. And a lot of people don't have that. And if you don't have that, if you didn't hit that jackpot like I'm talking about, don't let that make you feel bad, because you can still have that. Don't You always have to strive for that. You always want to put yourself in the position of putting yourself out there to love something or somebody, and in turn, you know, most of the time you'll get that back. It doesn't matter if it's another person or a pet or whatever. I mean, you can share love with a pet if you don't have, you know, people around you, if you don't have children. But sharing love with other creatures and other people on this planet is it's the most primal, most powerful, most healing, most therapeutic, most it's the biggest dose of reality that we have in human form out here. So the point of the matter is, you know, what can you do about that? It's like, if you have it, that's great. If you don't have it, what can you do? You can cultivate that all the time. And here's the thing about that is, when you're moving through life and you're trying to, maybe you're aware of what I just talked about and you're wanting to try to bring that into your life, realize that interactions with people, for the most part, you cannot force that. One of the most wonderful mysteries in life is the fact that you can't force love. You can't force people to love you. You can't force people to like you. There is an energetical exchange amongst people that is either there or not there. It's like, and think about this in your own life. Some people out there, you're like oil and water with them. It doesn't feel right to be around them, that your energies don't mix. Some people, it's like, oh, you could take it or leave it type of a thing. Yet there are special people that come into your life throughout your life. And and I'm not talking about some type of romantic situation, although it can be. It could be, you know, an 80-year-old neighbor when you're 6 years old, or it could be any situation out there. But when somebody comes into your life that you share love with, you will know it. You will recognize it immediately, because it's effortless and it feels good to be around that person. It feels right. It's not work. The quickest way that you can tell if somebody is sort of on your same wavelength or your same vibe is the interactions that you guys have together. Is, like I said, it's not work. It's easy. It's effortless. It's like, there's no awkward silences if you don't talk for a while. It's like, it's okay. And when you find people like that and you get around people like that, take the time to nurture that. It's really, really important. And if you're fortunate enough to find that at an early age or a younger age out there, don't ever let that atrophy. And one of the things about love and receiving love and giving love is that it takes a little bit of effort on both people's part. And what I mean by that is, even though something can feel really natural and it can feel easy, that you always have to make that effort. You can't let that just sort of die on the vine a little bit. It's like, if something comes along special like that, you really have to take the time to really, you know, make sure that doesn't. So another thing with that, it's like, everybody's life situation is completely different. It's like, one of the things that I have seen in my observations of the human behavior out there is that some people have very difficult life situations thrust upon them. Some people, you know, have every different degree. Some people have everything that's like this perfect little world, and other people have a very difficult time. But nevertheless, every single person out there has that capacity and that ability to love or be loved. And I have never seen anybody in my entire life that does not respond to that. It's like, everybody responds to kindness and compassion and love to some extent. Now, if somebody has some type of a mental illness, that's a mysterious variable that we really don't understand how they operate. But something as simple as, like, you know, think about the time maybe you went into a convenience store and you walked out of the convenience store and somebody held the door open for you. That simple little act of kindness out there resonates with people, and that makes you feel good. And that's like an energetical exchange between those two people out there that you have. So it can come in any form with that. Main thing with it, guys, is I guess the point of it, it's a lot of times what we talk about here on Mental Mondays, I think about the stuff that I want to convey to you, but it's very difficult to put in words at times. It's like when you're talking about the ethereal and the spiritual and the things beyond our physical realm out there. A lot of times it's just simply hard to put into words. But the point of the video that I wanted to make today in this particular episode is that out of everything else that you have in life, it's like, don't let your life get distracted by things and events and objects and all the type of stuff that we every single day that takes up our energy and time. Try to cultivate love in whatever shape and form you can. Like I said, it could be with a pet or a spouse or just whoever. It could be anything out there. And by doing that, the more that you cultivate that and the more that you nurture that, as you pass through the different existences that you'll have in this life that is just never ending out there, your tribe and your circle grows larger and larger and larger all the time. And it's just the nature of reality. And one of the things about that, it's like once you get a grasp of what I'm talking about here, and once you get a grasp about these bigger things in life, like what we're talking about, is all of the anxiety and all the fear that comes with death for most people out there, it just passes away. And I look back at my dad quite a bit. My dad was a perfect example of this, is what I'm talking about. He was rough around the edges. He was sort of gruff, but he was a good person. He was a good man, and he never did anyone wrong. He always, it's like he didn't lecture me much on ethics and what type of person I should be, but he lived by example to a large extent. And one of the things that I'll remember about my dad forever is that, he wasn't a religious person whatsoever, but I have never seen anybody more at peace knowing that he was going to die and the actual process of his death than he was. And that comes from a life well lived. That comes from a life that you've moved through life without screwing people and without, seeking power at the expense of other people, and by sharing love in the best way that you know how. A lot of people can't express love. My dad was a prime example of that. There was an energetical exchange like I had with my dad, that I could feel that. I could feel his love even though he didn't express it verbally. And that's one of the great things about love, and that's one of the great things about the sort of our self on a deeper soul level, is you don't have to, words do not have to be spoken to understand that. And the point what I'm talking about with my dad is when he passed away, there was no anxiety, there was no fear, there was nothing, he wasn't scared. It was like the most natural thing it's just like another day of him waking up every day. I remember about a week before my dad passed away, I could tell he was on his way out. I mean, it was obvious, and I was obviously upset about it, and I was always trying to encourage him to get better, even though he wasn't going to get better. And I remember he just looked at me, just matter of fact, and he goes, "Well, Randy, you can't live forever." Just matter of factly, just like he'd been talking to me ever since I was a little kid. It's just like giving me advice, even as he was on his deathbed like that. And that the peace and the power and the knowledge that came with that little piece of advice he gave me, or that little comment, it made me realize it's like, lead a good life. Lead a life with kindness and empathy and compassion and courage. Do the best that you can. And like I said, share love whenever you can, accept love whenever you can. And I can assure you guys that if you do that, you will be around those people that you shared love and that you love from now on. It's never going away. So anyway, that should be a comforting thought to everybody out there. Hope you're doing well. We'll talk later.